Hello and welcome to the Braw Tech Podcast. My name is Amy Kelly. In this podcast series, we will be showcasing some of the most fantastic technical innovation coming out of Scotland, from startup to scale-up and everything in between. Please engage and hear these amazing founder journeys, and if you find today's episode enjoyable, please share with someone you know. Thank you. I'm really excited for our first guest to be Jans from Unbaggaged. So Jans, just to kick off, could you please just tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So lovely to be here. Thanks for the invite. I'm Janani Prabhakaran, founder of Unbaggaged. So what we do is we pick up, store and return bags for travelers in a city. So I was born and brought up in India. I spent most of my time for about 18 years there. And a lot of extracurriculars, dancing, karate, TV, whatnot. And then I decided to come abroad to do my education at University of Strathclyde, and I did entrepreneurship, and that's how I ended up here.
That's an interesting course that you studied at Strathclyde then. So tell me about the entrepreneurship course. Was there anything there fundamentally that helped you, build into your business? Any sort of methodologies or sort of key learnings you took into your business?
Mm-hmm. It's a weird way that I ended up choosing entrepreneurship. I wanted to do economics actually, and then towards end of the first semester, I went and told my dad, "Oh no, I want to do economics," and he was like, "Why? Like, do you want to become an economist? I don't think so. Just do entrepreneurship." And I was like, "Okay, fine, no, never mind. I'm just gonna no point rebelling. Just do entrepreneurship."
Listen to our parents.
Yeah, just do it. So that's how I ended up doing entrepreneurship. It was an exciting course. I actually did not expect it to be so practical. It was a combination of practical and theoretical. And I remember this one particular class, which just stuck by me. It's almost imprinted. Is that a professor, Samuel Muara, he posted a question to the group of students, and he asked, "Do you know I can get connected to Barack Obama and get an interview with him?" And then we were like, "What? No, that's impossible. How?
Barack Obama?
Like how?" It gives us good 5 minutes, to think about it. And then he was like, "Here's where network kicks in. There's strong networks and there are weak networks. I can go and ask our president, Jim McDonald, who's the lead of Strathclyde, and he's connected to Barack Obama. And what did you learn from it is that as entrepreneurs, you need to shamelessly leverage your network, which is weak and strong networks, and ask every time you hit a wall or ask for anything you need. Despite if you receive a yes, great. No, perfect. Move on to the next person." So those were the kind of things that they taught us, which was very practical and useful when it came to the real life entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, that's an interesting part of just like being at university, and obviously you think of what you're going to learn, but it's actually from a people to people perspective of who you're actually connected with. And networks can be so powerful, and you would have brought that into your business. So,
and you know what, he was right, because Barack Obama did visit Strathclyde when they opened the new union. So he was not bluffing.
Well, that's good then. Was it walk the talk? So, speaking of your business, so can you just tell us a little bit more about Unbaggaged? What is it? How does it work? And what even made you decide to start it?
Mm-hmm. So Unbaggaged, again, is an on-demand luggage storage platform. So if you're stuck with a lot of bags at an Airbnb, we'll come and collect it for you, store it with us, and return it to you wherever you want in a city, so that you can go and enjoy the first and the last day of your trip without lugging your bags. So that's the whole idea. It came from my own personal journey. So I'm an overpacker, right? If it's a 2-day holiday, I would probably pack for 10 days just clothes. And I ended up in London doing the same thing, just me with 33 kg bag, stuck at King's Cross, and the only option I had was the expensive left luggage facility, which was, again, expensive. And long story short, I ended up missing my flight back home. And then I had to take a bus all the way from London to Glasgow. So I had 9 hours, and I'm just like so gutted. First of all, it's a complete waste of money that I missed my flight and deal with left luggage and deal with the bags. And that 9 hours taught me the frustration of lugging a bag around, and that's how I came up with Unbaggaged.
So you had 9 hours to think about building Unbaggaged on the bus all the way from London to Glasgow.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't sleep, you can't do anything else on that 9 hour because the bus is not great.
Yeah, so you just start a business.
Just start a business, yeah.
Well, that's so exciting, and I've used Unbaggaged, and I think it's such a fantastic product to use because ultimately there's nothing worse than checking out of your hotel at 11 o'clock, your train's not till 5 or 6, and you're just lugging stuff about, and it's just the most easiest and most convenient thing ever. So thank you for starting it. So I would just love to find out a little bit more about what your journey's been like as a founder. So opening Unbaggaged, getting off the ground, being able to obviously find that product market fit and then create the brand and everything that's so exciting about starting a company. But what's that experience been like for you, warts and all?
It's a long journey, isn't it? It's been adventurous, but of course, when I started it, I was a student, so I was like literally just graduated it, and with no experience, you're founder of a company, right? All of a sudden, and when we ended up launching 2 weeks before COVID hit, again, you're literally hit with one of the biggest crises in the world for a travel tech startup. And then after the COVID finished and we opened up and then expansion, and it's a lot of continuous change that went to it, and you learn a lot and you relearn a lot. You condition yourself to do something, and then you have to recondition that habit because it's become out of date and it no longer serves the purpose. So it's been a lot of learning and relearning and a adventurous journey.
Yeah, I'd imagine obviously just to start a company right before COVID would be hard enough, but then just to obviously get it off the ground and keep it sustained and do all of the things that you need to do just to keep it afloat is obviously that extra layer on top.
Especially like when you just graduated and you're like, oh, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. Okay, fine, let me build a company. And you're all, with dreams and full of dreams and it's just go ahead and everything is like, oh, wow, okay, that's my first crisis to handle. That's a big one.
I know, it feels like a distant nightmare now. It's like, what even happened there? Absolutely mad. But yeah, I mean, I think it's you've done so great with Unbaggaged. There's so many exciting things happening with the company. And, what you're saying about running a company and all of the things that you've got to think of. Because as a founder, you've got to be every single person within the company, looking at the accounts, looking at the HR, looking at the marketing, the investment, everything like that. So, is there anything that's surprised about yourself, in this journey, or anything that you thought, oh, I was able to do that and I didn't think I would, and something that's just been quite surprising for you?
I would really like to say everything to that. But one of the most surprising thing that I found about myself was pitching and public speaking, because I've never really liked being to speak or like to be the front face of something. And being that does, you have to carry a lot of responsibility with it. So public speaking or even pitching, oh my God, like I was horrible at it. And I still remember for my first pitch in front of, at the RBS Accelerator in front of like 300 people. It was horrible, it was terrible. But after that, from that to going and pitching in front of dragons, you can see the whole transition. So that really surprised me a lot. Like I was surprised about myself.
So that mention of dragons, for anyone that doesn't know, that Jans was on Dragon's Den. So everyone's always keen to understand like what happens behind the scenes and what's that experience like. I'd imagine it'd be nerve-wracking, coming out there and standing in front of all those dragons. Like, what was that experience like? And was there anything that you could tell us that was, a little behind the scenes secret?
God, there are plenty. But I think one of the... First of all, it's not as daunting as it looks like, because clearly they don't play the music and, you don't have like, it's all taken one shot. So it's pretty much like Scottish Edge, right? Like you go and pitch on the stage. So that's how that's how I would sum up the whole experience. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I still remember, the lift there is a fake one, right? Like it's not a real lift. And before they run a trial with you and the director says, okay, listen, make sure to press the button on the exit so it looks like a lift. And he also said most of the people don't do it, so make sure you do it. And after the sort of, you go in, you pitch and all the feedback, I was so overwhelmed. I really wanted to like sit there and cry. That's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't. And when I turn around, I'm just like going in, I don't know, for some strange reason, I'm just going and pressing that one button again. I'm doing it for 5 minutes, and Stephen Bartlett had to step in and say, the lift will come, so don't press too much. It was so embarrassing, but yeah, that was one, I think, maybe a fun experience.
And Stephen Bartlett had loads of great things to say about you. I think he said that he saw a lot of himself in you, didn't he? He said that he could just see a lot of that entrepreneurship that he had at a young age. And, I think that was quite inspiring to get such great comments from him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I did not expect that at all. But it was so very nice of him. And it's very, very kind of him to say those lovely things. It was so motivational as well. Not only him, be it Deborah with her validation, because that was the first thing that she said. I have been there. I know the problem. And even Tucker as well with his compliments and feedback. They've all been great. They've all been very constructive. And of course, Stephen Bartlett's comment is something... it sets the bar. If he's saying like you're going to be sitting in my chair, so it's a lot of work to do until I get there.
That's so exciting, Jans, and obviously that is such a big compliment coming from him. But just as you are in your 20s, you are a young female entrepreneur, and I'm assuming this must come with its challenges just in the tech industry, because as of today, there's still a massive underrepresentation of women in the tech industry, especially tech founders. And then, the tech founders that are women that get investment is even lower. So, there's so much there with just being a young female entrepreneur. So is there anything that you could share with us about what that's been like for you, and maybe some words of advice or something for, a young woman might be listening. Maybe she's still at university. Maybe she's graduated and working somewhere full time, but has a dream of starting her own company one day. What would you say?
Mm-hmm. There is a massive underrepresentation, which is, I think, it's a universal truth at the moment. But there are a lot of changes happening in Scotland, and there are a lot of steps being put in place to encourage people to get into this, to the tech entrepreneurship, or just to set up their own business. I truly believe fundamentally men and women lead differently. And the advice I would potentially give is lead the way you want to, don't force a leadership that you learn from someone else or that you see online, or maybe you have Elon Musk as a leadership role model. Don't try to go there. Just lead who you are and the way you want to lead. And also just do it. I think just overcome that fear and just say, you know what, I'm going to give this a trial. If it works, it works. If not, it's a learning. And that's it. 90% of startups fail. It's a common fact. So you're not the only one.
That is a big number for sure. Yeah. And, definitely, but just to hear that bit of advice, because I think it is, when we've talked about this before, it's like, you will regret more about not doing something than doing something when you, and many years from now be on your deathbed. So absolutely. I think it's seeing what you've done with Unbaggaged, the fact that you've went out there, you've seemed fearless. I know there's been moments where I'm sure that you've had times where you've been nervous and scared about doing certain things, but you really have just went full steam ahead with Unbaggaged and very much represented, women that can go out and start a tech company and get that support from the ecosystem. And I think that's something you mentioned there, what's changing in Scotland. So moving on to that, we'd love to just get a bit of insight from you, this story that we're telling today and how we're trying to communicate with everyone today is to promote Scotland in a way that if you're interested in starting a business, you can come to Scotland and do it here. There's so many exciting ecosystem players, and we're sitting in Barclays Eagle Labs right now in Glasgow, and we're really appreciative of the space. And I think that just the support that's here is really, really beautiful, and I think there's so many great people here that really do want to see people do well. So could you tell me a little bit about what that experience has been like? What has the support been like? Who have you worked with? What have you been doing with the different accelerators?
Yeah. So we've been around for about, 5-6 years now, since inception. And until now, we've not taken any investment. We've always sort of leveraged the network point that I spoke about earlier through these accelerators. So we started with University of Strathclyde's Hub. They are the ones who sponsored my visa, which was a huge, huge help. And then was RBS Accelerator, where they set the foundation. When someone says, "Oh, this idea, but I don't know how to do it," they laid the common practices. "Oh, you could try here, you can try here." So they kind of opened the mindset about, I have these options, and that was obviously pre MVP. And after that, when we launched, Codebase is the biggest resourceful, amazing community that I can always say they are, because I've found some amazing friends. I've had some amazing memories, great business leads. You get to speak to people who have worked at Skyscanner, people who have worked at FanDuel, and they all just there, like just talking to you and giving you advice, and no one's charging you anything. So they have been a huge, huge resource for us. And when we launched, Barclays Eagles Lab were the people who assisted us with free marketing. It's not free marketing. They helped us build a giant bag. And it was on Princess Street's bank, Barclays Bank. For a company which has no marketing budget, that's a huge, huge deal. And even from there till now, and I'm sure moving forward, any opportunity that comes by, I always get an email from David or from the Barclays Eagles team saying, "Okay, this feels like a fit to you. Do you want to pursue it?" So we know that they've got our back. And recently, I actually concluded one of the newest accelerator programs, which is Geovation. They focus on property, location-related startups, and they have been great. They provide grant funding and also personalized support, and that's how I met you, Amy, as well. So I think they are one to go for. That's something that we recently concluded. Apart from that, the Startup Grind and Forest, of course, who take you and open your mind, make you explore other cities and other startup ecosystems, learn from there, so that you can implement here in your own startup. So that's a big list.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I might have missed TechScaler, but again, TechScaler have been one of the recent
it's part
ones.
of Codebase. Yeah, I think that is a lot. There's definitely a lot there, and it's so great that you've went and taken. You've taken advantage of those resources. You've managed to actually go out there and get the help.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of founders need to realize is there is so much support out there. So, like to go out and actually connect with those people and find out what kind of support you can get to get to the next stage of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you're bootstrapping, right? That is one of the key things that you have going to these organizations, Business Gateway, Glasgow. These are the people who will help you because they know people, they've worked with other businesses. So again, that comes back to the point of leveraging network, knowing you don't always need an investment to make a profitable business. You just need resources, and these people can give you the resources. So go speak to them.
And that's a big milestone that you've actually just hit, because you're now profitable.
Yes.
And you are still bootstrapped.
Yes.
So this is exciting. Can you tell us a little bit then of, the investment side of things? Because there's a lot of sort of measurement around who's getting funding and, who's exactly going out and getting the most money. But actually it's who's driving revenue and who's getting customers is probably a bigger success metric if you look at the just the state of business. And that's just a pure opinion, but looking at who is actually attractive to the market out there.
Yeah.
So for you to be profitable right now, that's exciting. So can you just tell us a little bit about what you're thinking from the investment world and how you're doing this right now, bootstrapping, and what's your feelings there?
Absolutely. So I did try for investment maybe 2 years ago, but I realized very soon that one thing that if I make this profitable and scalable, investment will come to me, and that I start fundamentally believing it, because it was, again, my dad saying, who's also an entrepreneur, that, you just go do stuff, opportunities will come to you. People will notice you. And then after the fundraising was not so successful for us, I was like, okay, we need to find a way to make it profitable. And that's when I went on Dragon's Den, and one of Tuka's comments was, why don't you just serve it as a premium product? Why don't you just say 2 bags of 50 pounds? And that was the feedback we worked on, and that led us to becoming profitable this year. So his feedback was actually helpful. And right, again, investment is a great thing. But one thing that people don't realize that it's not for a news article. You take investment in exchange of your own equity, right? You're sacrificing a part of your company to someone else, which means you're giving them a part in your decision making as well, in your vision. And that part, no one understands it. It just becomes a newspaper article at the end of the day. So there's a lot happening behind the works. But coming back to the point, you're profitable, and it's a great news.
That's brilliant, and I think it's so great you're doing it this way, and you're having full control of the vision, of the plans, and exactly what you're doing. So I think you should be super proud of yourself, Jans. I think this is fantastic what you're doing. And what's next in store for Unbaggaged? What are you excited about right now?
Oh, so many things. I'm excited for London. I'll tell you why, because we still don't have investment, right? But we're going to do London bootstrapped way. And I'm super excited for it. It's a lot of challenges, and challenges are always exciting, especially in the startup world. So not only me, but my entire team is excited. We are like, oh, how are we gonna do this without money? Like, we're always thinking, but we're like, where there's a will, there's a way, and we're going to find that out. And we have figured it out. So I'm super excited for London and the opportunities that London will bring, the problems it will bring as well. And we'll just learn more from that experience.
Yeah, massive city, a lot of bags, a lot of people shuffling luggage around. I think there's a huge market for you down there, so that's really exciting.
Yeah.
So is there potentially, this is something we'd like to do at the Braw Tech Podcast, is sort of connect us to other countries and other founders that might be in different parts of the world. Mm-hmm. So is there anyone currently in a different part of the world that you could give a shout out to, or a startup or a scale-up that you've admired from afar?
Oh, wow. You know what? So much talent in Scotland. It's so difficult to say, because you have so many names to say here itself. But you know what? I'm gonna cheat on this, and I'm gonna say a company that started out in Scotland, but they have scaled up to US and they're based there. It's a company called StoryCare, and the founder is Cameron Graham. When I was a student, I had a chance to interview him for one of my projects. Mm-hmm. He started out in our office at Strathclyde, and then he expanded, and then he scaled up to US, and he's got 2 different products. I have huge respect for people who work in medtech and health tech businesses, because not only their products great, they have such huge impact, for their products as well. So I would give a shout out to Cameron Graham. He's amazing. I love his work. Huge respect for the industry and the impact his product is creating.
That's brilliant. And it's even greater that he started in Scotland.
It's so unfair. I need to give a shout out to a Scottish entrepreneur. It's so unfair.
Well, being the first episode, we'll let you off. You're even representing with the Iron Brew today. So obviously, it's all about Scotland today. So just a couple more questions before we wrap up. But is there any advice for fellow founders that you've got, just from your own experience? Because, there's a lot of different stories out there of just the impact on mental health, of your energy, on just like the emotional turmoil of being a founder of a startup, and everything that you're constantly fighting for to get to somewhere that sometimes can feel like a long time. So anything that you've been through, and you could share some advice for a fellow founder.
I think anyone who's starting or on this journey already, they need to know literally nothing will go right the first time. You probably have to hit the door, probably even break down the door for you to get into certain opportunities or certain places, or investment, or even a strategy to become more profitable. So you won't get it right the first time. So don't be guilty, because I tend to carry that quite a lot. The minute something goes wrong, or the minute one booking or something goes wrong, I tend to, oh my God, I did something bad. I tend to go on the guilt factor. So be patient. Just be patient. Trust the process. Do your best. And if you're overwhelmed, best thing to do is take the most important thing and work on it the whole day. Just you and the problem, or you and the solution. Just work on it. And you'll get there. Just don't give up. Just don't give up.
Don't give up and don't beat yourself up. I think that's a good way to look at it. And just lastly, is there a word that you would use to describe your founder journey so far?
I think I've described it earlier, but I would say adventurous. Ups, downs, sometimes you got to lead, sometimes you fall, and then you pick yourself up, and then you run again. But it's all exciting, right? It's like climbing a mountain. So eventually you'll get there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jans, for coming on the Braw Tech Podcast. We're really excited and so glad that you could be on the first episode. So we really appreciate it. Please, everyone, follow Unbaggaged, follow Jans on LinkedIn, and just to follow along the journey and see what's next for Unbaggaged. So thank you so much for tuning into the Braw Tech Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode. This series is produced by Duke, and if you would like to find out more, please go to dukeagency.com.